Motley Crue bassist Nikki Sixx has been embroiled in countless feuds over the years, from Lars Ulrich to Gene Simmons and even his own bandmates. But what happens to the victims that Sixx decides to go to war with? Today, we're going to take a look at how the bassist can stab even his closest friends in the back and find out where those who clashed with Sixx are now, starting with former Motley Crue guitarist Mick Mars, who was allegedly bullied so badly by Nikki Sixx that it resulted in an industry-shaking lawsuit. According to official court documents filed in 2023, Mars claims that he was unceremoniously kicked out of Motley Crue, allegedly as part of a scheme by Nikki Sixx and the rest of the band to seize Mick's cut of the band's profits. Mars subsequently took legal action against Motley Crue, demanding the money he believed he was owed, and further accusing Sixx of prolonged harassment aimed at driving Mars out of the group. In the lawsuit, Mars would detail Sixx's alleged manipulation tactics, describing a campaign of mind games wherein Sixx was said to gaslight Mars into questioning his own guitar playing abilities and even his sanity. Adding fuel to the fire, Mars accused Sixx and the rest of Motley Crue of faking their performances during their 2022 stadium tour, asserting that the band did not play live but instead mimed along to pre-recorded music. And while Mars shed light on Sixx's alleged shady business practices, it was Godsmack frontman Sully Erna who exposed him as an egomaniac. It all started when Erna spoke out against the way he and his band were treated by Motley Crue while opening for them on 2009's Crue Fest tour. Erna would specifically blast Sixx for his supposed prima donna rockstar attitude, stating, "There's a reason why people don't want to associate with Nikki Sixx. There's a reason why he has zero respect in this industry." Erna then channeled his frustrations into the lyrics of the Godsmack song, "Cryin' Like a Bitch," a diss track that took direct aim at Nikki Sixx. The Motley Crue bassist would not take this lying down, subsequently going above and beyond to sabotage Godsmack's career at every possible opportunity. In a devastating move, Sixx went as far as to force concert organizers into blacklisting Godsmack from more than 15 different festivals, admitting Motley Crue's agreement to headline these shows was contingent upon Godsmack being prohibited from performing. Then, in 2014, Godsmack reportedly requested to appear on Sixx's nationally syndicated radio show to promote their latest album. Sixx would predictably refuse to feature Godsmack on his show, making the matter public when he tweeted, "Godsmack begged to be on 6 Cents to promote their new album. Good luck touring phone booths. Who's crying like a now?" It was at this point that Erna would lose it, lashing out on an interview with the Josta Show.
I'll say it straight out. I've never met a bigger dick in my life than Nikki Sixx. He's a douchebag. He is straight up a douche, and I don't give a what he says. He knows exactly where I am, and he knows exactly how he can find me anytime that motherfucker has the balls to come and look me up. He's just so pompous and egotistical, and he feels like he's still on top of the world. He just thinks he's so relevant, and he's just an old, fat, washed-up has-been.
And while Erna was provoked by Sixx, it was Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich who truly managed to infuriate the Motley Crue bassist by criticizing him in the press, consequently inciting the wrath of Nikki Sixx. The rivalry between the two bands stems from their origins in the 1980s Los Angeles rock scene, where Metallica openly expressed their contempt for Motley Crue.
I remember one night out in front of the Troubadour, we're standing there in our Iron Maiden t-shirts, and it was like, you saw like Nikki and Tom, it was like, Motley Crue. I remember like Nikki Sixx started chasing after me, and the one thing I could do, because 5'6" of me, I could like run faster than he could in his 16-inch platform boots.
Their feud was taken up a notch in 1997 when Ulrich publicly criticized Motley Crue for lip-syncing during a performance at that year's American Music Awards. Despite the fact that the crew was indeed lip-syncing at the AMAs, Sixx couldn't resist lashing out against Ulrich's taunts. In a heated response, Sixx issued an open letter which read, "Dear sweet, fat, balding Lars, taking your ever moronic soapbox position on a subject that's none of your business has made you out to be an as usual. Unfortunately for Sixx, his attempt to counter Ulrich's provocation only ended up drawing even more attention to the lip-syncing allegations he was trying to downplay. Yet this incident was merely one of many where the bassist ended up putting his foot in his mouth after targeting another rock star. In May 2016, Kiss's Gene Simmons found himself at the center of a very public controversy after he insinuated that musical icon Prince died of a drug overdose, despite the fact that an official cause of death had not yet been determined. Simmons would tell Newsweek, "His drugs killed him. What do you think? He died from a cold? How pathetic that Prince killed himself. Don't kid yourself, that's what he did. Slowly, I'll grant you. But that's what drugs and alcohol is. A slow death." Sixx, a recovering addict himself, unsurprisingly took great offense to these comments and would subsequently blast Simmons on Twitter, writing, "Gene's recent heartless and uneducated remarks about Prince's death shows why he's not my hero anymore, or anybody's." He would later go on to state, "We have no respect for Gene Simmons anymore. Nobody in rock does. And I'm not gonna sit back quietly and allow a bully to go out there and put down people he doesn't know anything about. I think Gene should call it a day. And if you want to compare Prince to Kiss, I mean, okay, come on. There's no comparison." This prompted Kiss frontman Paul Stanley to rush to his bandmate's defense, firing back at Sixx via Facebook. "Jesus Christ, Nikki Sixx, would you please shut up? Find another way to be in the news and get off your self-inflated pedestal." Regardless of some things Gene Simmons has said that I may take issue with, his influence on musicians, you included, is undeniable and will continue. Move on. For his part, Simmons would eventually apologize for his remarks about Prince. Yet despite Sixx's well-meaning assumptions, he was ultimately proven wrong, as the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office later confirmed that Prince's death was indeed caused by an accidental fentanyl overdose. Sixx, regrettably, is all too familiar with the perils of drug overdoses, having survived multiple instances during the peak of his addiction. One such incident involved Hanoi Rocks guitarist Andy McCoy, who has harbored resentment towards Sixx ever since. In an interview with Indie Power TV, McCoy revealed that he once saved the Crue bassist from a potentially fatal overdose, criticizing Sixx for his lack of gratitude. Moreover, McCoy blasted Sixx for inaccurately recounting the events of that night, accusing him of fabricating details in Motley Crue's autobiography, The Dirt, for a more sensational story. "I saved the guy's life, and he makes up stories. I got him revived, got his heart beating again, and the thank you I've gotten has been nothing, and that makes him a second-class citizen in my eyes." Sixx would fire back with a shocking revelation. Writing on Twitter, "Andy McCoy has been on a rant saying I never thanked him for saving my life after a heroin overdose. It's true. I also never thanked him for getting me the drugs during my deadly addiction that night." Yet Sixx has not always offered support to those impacted by the disease of addiction, as former Motley Crue frontman John Corabi claims that Sixx shamelessly ignored his pleas for assistance when Corabi's son was struggling with heroin addiction. The singer would tell the Chuck Shoot podcast, "I did not ask for money. I did not ask for anything. What I asked for was, hey, you have dealt with heroin addiction. How do I handle this? I got nothing from Nikki at all. No response."
I will never forget the fact that I asked what I thought were my friends to help me out, not even with money. "Hey, do you have a phone number for a counselor or something that I could reach out to?" And I didn't get anything. If you want to be upset with me, awesome. But you watched my kid grow up.
John Corabi's tenure with Motley Crue was short-lived, during which he contributed his vocal talents to the band's self-titled 1994 album. This period marked the Crue's departure from their glam metal origins, as they sought to reinvent themselves by embracing a grunge-influenced alternative rock sound, which is exactly what started a feud between Nikki Sixx and Poison frontman Bret Michaels. After Motley Crue's rebranding, Michaels claims that Sixx criticized him for not exerting greater control over Poison's image. Michaels would tell Noise Creep, What confused me about that time period was when Nikki said I was ridiculous. He told me, "You don't really pick and choose your fans, you just kind of go out and play music." Well, I thought that's what music was about. I didn't know I was supposed to decide which fan can like or not like my music. For the next decade, Michaels and Sixx would appear to be on good enough terms. That is, until Sixx refused a highly lucrative offer to tour with Kiss upon discovering that Poison had been added to the lineup. Sixx told the Stamford Advocate, "I was in negotiations for the Kiss tour. All of a sudden, they come back with Poison. There ain't no way in hell I'm doing that tour. I will not play with Poison. There are followers and leaders. I'm not into followers." Things only got worse when a local news anchor deliberately provoked Sixx by mentioning the ongoing feud, prompting Sixx to react angrily on live television.
Who rocked harder in the 80s, Motley Crue or Poison?
What a...
Oh, gotta bleep that one.
Thank you, guys.
Before long, the two musicians found themselves embroiled in an awkward series of public contradictions. At first, Michaels claimed that Nikki Sixx had personally apologized to him for the trash talk, only for Sixx to swiftly counter with a sharp response on Twitter, stating, "Just to clarify, Bret Michaels recently said I apologized to him about derogatory comments that Motley made about Poison in the past, and that isn't what I said. What I did say was I personally never had anything against you guys as a people, just sorta thought you sucked as a band." Sixx often displays a reluctance to apologize, as was also evident in his public dispute with former Skid Row frontman Sebastian Bach, who incited Sixx's annoyance after claiming he was once asked to replace singer Vince Neil in Motley Crue. Sixx would subsequently shoot down Bach's assertions, saying they were absolutely not true. An insulted Bach would post a lengthy statement to his official Facebook page, which read, "It's not every day you wake up to one of your childhood heroes calling you a liar. The fact of the matter is, I was not only asked to join Motley Crue, I actually rehearsed with the band, so Nikki Sixx is either calling me a liar or his memory is wrong." Sixx responded by ridiculing Bach, dismissing his recent claims as nothing more than an attempt to sell more copies of his forthcoming autobiography. However, Sixx was ultimately proven wrong when Bach unearthed a 1994 Motley Crue interview clip that confirmed that he had in fact rehearsed with Motley Crue, finally putting the dispute to rest.
At times when Vince was out of town or off doing whatever he was into doing, Sebastian Bach would come down and hang out with us, and we'd be rehearsing. So we kind of had the feeling of what it would be like to have a different singer, and we said, you know, the least we can do is try it on for size.
Even still, no band would expose Nikki Sixx's lies more masterfully than the comedic glam metal band Steel Panther. For starters, it's important to note that Steel Panther has made a career out of affectionately parodying the onstage theatrics popularized by 80s rock bands like Motley Crue. However, it would appear that Sixx is not at all in on the joke, as Steel Panther drummer Styx Zadinia would tell Music Life magazine, "Nikki Sixx did not like it when we went on tour with them in 2011. The thing with those guys is I think they thought we were actually making fun of them directly, and I just gotta chalk that up to their egos being too big, because nothing that we do has anything to do with them directly." Things took a turn for the worse when Steel Panther frontman Michael Starr made a joke about Motley Crue singer Vince Neil, quipping that Neil is now a shadow of his former self. It wasn't long before Sixx became aware of these comments and stepped in to defend his bandmate on Twitter. "The singer in Steel Panther can go f himself. Wannabe band putting down Vince Neil? They are backstabbers." However, Steel Panther was ready to take Sixx on, countering with an old interview clip where Sixx himself was seen cruelly mocking Neil on national television.
Did they care when their former bandmate sustained several broken ribs and internal injuries while jet skiing a few weeks ago?
Hey, when 300 pounds of blubber land on a coral reef, you know there was some dust flying around.
Yet Sixx would save his harshest words for a security guard at a 1997 Motley Crue show, with the bass player's meltdown even resulting in a federal lawsuit against the band. It all started when Sixx saw the security guard allegedly roughing up fans, with the bass player responding by not only spitting at the guard in question, but even ordering the crowd to attack him. Sixx would then cause a major uproar when he repeatedly used racial slurs against the guard, resulting in widespread criticism of the bassist.
How's that feel, you asshole, you fucking nigger? Don't call me a fucking racist, man, because then you are a fucking nigger, because no one treats another human being like that. Suck my dick!
This incident had significant repercussions, resulting in Sixx facing a felony charge for inciting a riot with ethnic intimidation. The security guard would even file a lawsuit against Sixx and Motley Crue, with the band ultimately choosing to settle out of court. In the end, the bassist was given a 30-day suspended jail sentence and put on probation as part of a plea bargain. Yet Sixx did nothing to provoke Pearl Jam frontman Eddie Vedder, who made his hatred for Motley Crue public in a January 2022 interview with the New York Times. Vedder would quip, "I despised Motley Crue. I hated how it made the fellas look. It felt so vacuous." Sixx would strike back via Twitter a few days later, posting, "It made me laugh today reading how much the singer in Pearl Jam hated Motley Crue. Now, considering that they're one of the most boring bands in history, it's kind of a compliment, isn't it?" Sixx would even ridicule Vedder's vocal technique, comparing it to singing with marbles in your mouth. The feud would rage on, with Vedder taking swipes at Motley Crue during his concerts, while Sixx would fire shots at Vedder in interviews.
I mean, listen, let's face it. The guy flies around in private jets. He lives in a mansion in a gated community. He sells out stadiums. And then he dresses at the thrift store and tries to pretend he's some guy in the 90s. Don't take a swipe at my band, dude. I mean, I'm at least being honest.
Yet perhaps the most underhanded thing Nikki Sixx ever did occurred at the very beginning of his career. In his 2021 memoir, he would admit to stealing his stage name from a former partner's ex-boyfriend.
And I saw that she had dated this guy named Nikki Sixx. She came home one day and I said, I'm not Nikki London, I'm not Nikki 9, I'm Nikki Sixx. And she's like, you can't steal his name. And, you know, I think I answered something like, well, I can steal his girlfriend, I can steal his name. And when you're young.
However, that's far from the only thing that Sixx plagiarized, as it's been said that he blatantly stole Motley Crue's visual identity from the band Sister. Formed by eventual Wasp frontman Blackie Lawless, Sister made waves in the LA metal scene for pioneering the fusion of occult aesthetics with theatrical stage shows. Lawless recruited Sixx as his band's bass player, only to fire him shortly thereafter due to his inexperience. Former Sister guitarist Lizzie Gray alleged that Sixx was utterly devastated by his firing, seeking revenge by stealing his former band's signature look. And when you look at old photos of Motley Crue with this in mind, it's easy to believe that this claim just might be true.